Hi guys. Okay, so I wanted to do a quick video about some comments that I've been getting. One of them is about this big conspiracy theory. I don't personally like conspiracy theories. I don't know much about, all the craziness that's going on with the conspiracy theorists or whatever, because I don't get into that stuff. However, I do think that there was a small conspiracy here, just a little bit. I don't think it was anything major. And I'm just going to tell you what I believe, what I feel, my theory on this whole conspiracy is. First of all, I I don't think that the police killed Teresa. I do believe that someone killed her, and that same person that killed her, or persons that killed her, are the ones that planted the majority of the evidence that was found. Um, the car that they burned the bones, they planted the bones on the property, um, possibly even the blood. Um, all the evidence that was found, I do believe, was put there by the killer, not the police. I do believe that the police at least planted the key, possibly the blood. Um, the the fingerprint under the hood latch of Teresa's car is one of those things that could have been an accident, just an accidental contamination from the lab tech who was swabbing, and didn't change the gloves, or it could have very easily been planted by, rubbing a dirty t-shirt or something under the hood latch. But like I said, every bit of that stuff could have been planted. So somebody went under the hood and unhooked the battery. Just gonna think like a killer here for just a second. If I am a bad enough person that I would kill someone, then I probably would hate Stephen Avery for some reason. Say I just don't like the fact that he's about to get this big settlement, and I think he's, a bad person who got away with a rape, for example. Because a lot of people actually believe that in the area. So, anything's possible, whatever. Let's just assume. I am a bad enough person that I think Stephen is a bad guy. I'm a bad enough person that I want to, for whatever reason, I'm going to, or I have killed someone. And I decide, for whatever reason, to frame Stephen. It wouldn't be that hard. He obviously, he had a cut on his finger. It was wrapped up with something that was bloody. Could have been a rag, a t-shirt, a napkin, some sort of bandages, who knows. He believes that someone was smoking in his house, so someone could have been in there and gotten that, because unlike what the mystery officer who didn't show her face said, that house was definitely not immaculately cleaned. There was stuff everywhere. I don't think that he, since it was in the same time period, I don't think he would have taken out that trash if he had blood on the floor in his own bathroom and not cleaned that up yet. So there's probably a bloody something laying around. I don't see why you couldn't put a couple drops of water and just make some drips and some swabs or swipes on the dash, things like that. Planting blood could have been done with the vial. It could have been done with, a bloody wrap for his finger. Like I said, the hood latch. For some reason, someone went under the hood and unhooked the battery cables. So maybe the killer would have thought, well, since I went under the hood and unhooked the battery cables, I have to make it look like he did this, so I'm going to wipe a dirty t-shirt or something of his under there so it looks like he did this. Just planting things, right? They're trying to put him in that car to tie him to her, which is smart. The only problem with this is, and this is why I don't believe it was Stephen, okay? The only problem with this is that someone, whoever did this, didn't have access to like freely go around his house and plant Teresa's blood and Teresa's hair and Teresa's DNA, her fingerprints, anything like that. They couldn't just freely go around and start spreading this stuff all over his house or his garage. So they didn't have like unlimited access. But of course, they were all out on the property working, or they were all up in their cabin. So it was possible for someone to have gotten in there and done some things. But you know, who knows when the police would have come. They could have been caught, I guess, with their framing. So that was just a little too much to do. Besides, I don't believe that rape or haircutting or any of stabbing, any of that other stuff ever happened to begin with. So there would have been no reason for them to do that. So like I said, all it would have really taken was just somebody who wanted to frame Stephen for some reason, rub a shirt underneath the hood latch, drip that blood around, swipe it up by the thing, by the ignition, burn the bones somewhere, and then dump them on the property and plant the car out in the pit. Not that hard to do. Didn't have to be a whole bunch of people. Could have been 1 to 2 people that did this. Like I said, the key, that one's hard. It's obviously a spare key. It's obviously not her main key that she used, or her DNA would have been all over it. Her DNA should have been all over it anyway, just because it belonged to her, if it belonged to her, which leads me to believe that it didn't belong to her. It was a new key that was made at some point, possibly by calling the VIN into a dealership and saying, hey, we're working this case, missing girl, blah, blah, we need a spare key made in case we find the vehicle, because, you know, whatever. Or we've found the vehicle and we don't have the keys. We don't want to break in, damage evidence, so we need a spare key made. I mean, this could have been, you know, a cop calling a buddy of his who can get this done. Nobody talks about it. Nobody knows about it, except the person that made the key and the person that asked for the key. They could have used the key to get into the car, to, you know, to plant Stephen's blood, if that's what happened. They could have used the key just to drop it into his house to plant it there, because it wasn't there. You know, there's something going on there where there's just no way that all those people trained to look for evidence would not have found something like her car key. I mean, that's a pretty major piece of evidence, besides, you know, her personal items, her camera, herself, her blood, or something like that. So, yeah, it's a pretty major thing, and I don't believe that the killer would have had access to the property to plant the key. So I do believe that was just something the cops were like, hey, you know, we already thought that he was guilty of the rape of Penny a long time ago. We think he's a bad guy. We don't want him to get off on this. Let's just do whatever we can to make sure that we just really put her there however we can. Get Culhane to, you know, doctor some things up maybe. Get a spare key, drop it in his room. Whatever they could do. Like I said, it really doesn't take very many people. It doesn't have to go high up. It certainly could, though. Definitely could have. There's so many possibilities that it's ridiculous. But I do believe that the most likely, easy to believe, would just be, we don't want him to get away with something else, right? We already believe he's guilty. We don't want him to get away with this. So let's just do what we can and make sure that he doesn't get away with this. Most of the other work was done to make it look like it was him, and it did. You know, I mean, those are facts. Those bones were found right there in his backyard. The car was found right there on the property. Those are things. Those are real things that happen. Same with the bullet. The bullet, that's a little bit easier to believe that it's possible that they missed the bullet because it's so small and it was up underneath some stuff, and there was so much stuff in that garage that I don't believe that they had fully done like a complete investigation of the garage where they pulled everything out at that time. I think up until that point they hadn't done that. So it is believable, at least, that bullet had been there all along, planted by the killer. It could have also been planted by a cop who just, knew that they were going to go and search that, and they dropped it, and it rolled up underneath there. I mean, anything's possible. I wouldn't put it past anyone at this point because there's so many possibilities here of what could have happened, and I don't believe for a second that Stephen killed her somehow without any blood or DNA. I don't believe, not even close to a second, that Brendan had anything to do with this at all. He so obviously didn't even know what had happened. They had to tell him everything because his only story was, I went home and I did this, and that was it. I went over to the bonfire, helped him throw some stuff in, and I went home. All the other little details were definitely given to him or guessed because they're pushing him and trying to get him to say things that only the killer would know. And of course we've already talked about this before. They actually fed him that information. You can go and look at those transcripts or watch the videos of it actually happening right there in front of your face. They fed him that information. He never offered that information that was not known to the public. The only thing he did offer was known to the public, or they fed him, and that's it. And small things like hair cutting that could never be proven one way or the other because there was no hair found. So we can say that didn't happen because there's no evidence to prove that it happened, which is what I believe didn't happen. Or we could just say, somebody just cleaned it up really well. We can't really know that for sure, but I really do believe that none of those things happened. Like I said, killer planted most of the things. I don't believe it was a huge conspiracy. It doesn't necessarily have to be way high up. Just like was said at the trial, all of this could have been done by one or two people. I mean, it only takes one cop to drop a key, one cop to drop a bullet. Same cop could be one killer planting all this evidence. It could be 1 to 2 people, but there you go. Like I said, that's what I feel about it. Those are my theories. Those are my opinions. Obviously, I can't prove anything. No one can prove anything at all. No one can even prove that it was Stephen. That's not proof that these things were found on his property. These things, his blood was found in the car. That doesn't mean that he was the one that put it there. That is not what it means. So there is no proof either way that we know of yet. Hopefully Zellner finds that information, and hopefully she does know who put what where, and we can find a killer. We can find some planters. We can figure all this stuff out and at least prove who didn't do it. And I think that's absolutely what's about to happen. So super excited. Anyway, so that's my little rant, I guess, about the conspiracy. All right, thanks for watching. Oh, Clue TV. Almost forgot. Oh my gosh. Clue TV, we are taking subscriptions, early subscriptions. You get a special price if you subscribe now for $3. It's going to go up to 6. I can't remember exactly when, like 3 months maybe. The price is going to go up to 6, and that's going to be the normal price. But if you get in early, you get it for half of that. So go sign up at Clue TV. I'll put the links down below, and can't wait to get started. Thanks for watching.